Hello.
Hi. One second. Hi, Jill. Am I the host?
Yes, you're the host.
Yes, Victor, you are the host now. Thank you.
You started the recording.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Bye.
Goodbye. Okay. Let me just get everything ready. Okay. So, in our previous tutorial, session of yesterday, we gave an introduction of cloud computing. What was why is the reason that we need cloud computing? We looked into how we got to this emerging technology. Then we spoke about different topics where we introduced the cloud computing models. Then we looked into testing systems and tools that are required. And then lastly, we introduced Amazon Web Services and how this is used in cloud computing and the advantages of using it. So in today's session, we'll now dive more into Amazon Web Services, AWS, in more detail. So we will discuss about all the type of services that are provided by AWS. So in today's session, we are going to be able to understand, design, implement distributed systems on cloud. So what do we mean by implement and design? So we'll now look into how we're going to create our account on Amazon Web Services. We'll now look into these services. So what Amazon AWS is offering us, and then we will now look into implementing reliable and secure cloud services. So we'll have examples of EC2, which allows us to create instance, and then we look into S3, which is our cloud storage, where we now store files and documents in it. And then we will now look into other services like databases, networking, security, and so on.
When you say instance, what do you mean?
1 second. Let me just put it up for you. W3 school. So I'll get back to instances. Is that okay? Because we just keep it apart. Is that okay?
That's fine.
Yeah. So as I was saying, 2.3, we will now look into understand and implement cloud security architectures like VPC, subnets, and so on. And then we will look into understand and provision cloud infrastructure service using IaaC tools like Terraform. And lastly, we're going to demonstrate Linux administration. So so let's look into our presentation. Okay, just 1 second, let me view. Okay. So we've already defined what cloud computing is yesterday. So we're basically referring to the delivery of computing services, where we're now going to include server, storage, database, network, software, and many other services. So what are the benefits of having them? We already mentioned that these are very cost efficiency, where AWS will now manage all these aspects for us, where by just simply paying for your subscription, pay as you go subscription, you now have all these features. So Amazon AWS comes simply as you look at your Netflix, which is a pay as you go service, where you enter your credential, your name, email address, then you now required to verify your identity by adding maybe your credit card, which is a validation method. And then you now be prompt to your plan, where AWS provides you 12 months free of charge. And after the 12 months, you now going to be charged for each period that you're going to be using the services. So the scalability, which allows scaling resources up or down based on the demand. You now have flexibility, where we now provide access to a wide range of service and resources on demand. Also, the benefits of performance, where it offers high performance and availability with global distribution. So as we know, these remote services are located over 50 countries in the world. And the thing is that this will never crash, because it's a remote server and it is now distributed across the globe. Then we have security, where it provides robust security measures to protect data and application. And also we have disaster recovery, where it ensures data backup and recovery in case of disaster. So how does it work? This will now works by allowing us to access and use shared resources in the server over the internet. And we mentioned yesterday, we have 3 types of computing models: infrastructure as a service, which we already defined yesterday, where it provides virtualized computing resource over the internet. Then we spoke about platform as a service, where provides a platform allowing customers to develop, run, manage application without dealing with the underlying infrastructure. And lastly, we also explain software as a service, where it delivers software application over the internet on a subscription based. So we made example of, and we made example and explain the difference between the 3 of them. So here, this table give us a more in detail explanation of how they work. So we've seen the benefits, and here we have example of them. So example of infrastructure as a service, we have AWS EC2. Example of platform as a service, we have AWS Elastic Beanstalk. And for software as a service, we have example for such as Google Workspace. for example, application like Gmail, where we don't need to handle any sort of features, where we just work with the application and all the data and everything is being handled by the service. So we also looked into popular public cloud service providers such as AWS, Azure, and IBM Cloud. So to conclude, understanding cloud computing, it is a model and it is essential for designing and implementing distributed system on the cloud. Okay, so now we will look into AWS in more detail. So what we spoke about before, concept that we already introduced yesterday and we already explained in detail. So now let's dive into AWS. So what is Amazon EC2, which is Elastic Compute Cloud? So by this, we're now going to implement scalable solution, which will now involve leveraging various AWS services. So let me get some so EC2, which stands for Virtual Cloud Server. EC2 is the short form Elastic Cloud Computing, and makes scaling of capacity up and down easy. So why do we use EC2? This makes the process of increasing and decreasing capacity easier. And as a result, we can access resource on demand. No upfront investment is needed. So here we have a couple of examples of EC2. So circling back to your question, what are instances? So here with EC2, we have different type of instance. So let me get this one. General. Okay, so here the types are best used for different things. So general purpose of instance balance, computing, memory, and network resource. So these are the general purpose of our instance. So our instance has to fit the purpose such as application server, gaming server, backend server for companies, small and medium database. Does that answer your question? Sure.
Yes, that does answer my question.
So this is where we're going to find this instance. So a clear example.
Scalable larger server.
Sorry?
So is this a scalable cloud server?
Yeah.
That you can easily increase or decrease at any time?
Yes, exactly. By creating this instance. Okay, so here we have a nice video. Let's watch this. Let me go back to Zoom 1 second. Oh, sure. Let me know if you can hear the video.
Now that we've learned about EC2 instances and the
Yeah,
crucial role they play in AWS, let's talk about the different types of EC2 instances that are available.
I can hear it. It's
You can hear it? Yeah, 1 second. Let me just. You know.
Level about a service called Amazon Elastic Compute Cloud, or EC2. If you remember from our coffee shop, in this video, we are going to talk at a high level about a service called Amazon Elastic Compute Cloud, or EC2. If you remember from our coffee shop, the employees are a metaphor for the client-server model, where a client sends a request to the server does some work, and then sends a response.
Apologies for this, but there's loads of adverts.
Is for the coffee shop, but the same idea applies to other businesses. Your business, whether it be in healthcare, manufacturing, insurance, or delivering video content to millions of users all around the world, are also using this model to deliver products, resources, or data to your end users. And you're going to need servers to power your business and your applications. You need raw compute capacity to host your applications and provide the When you're working with AWS, those servers are virtual, and the service you use to gain access to virtual servers is called EC2. Using EC2 for compute is highly flexible, cost-effective, and quick when you compare it to running your own servers on premises in a data center that you own. The time and money it takes to get up and running with on-premises resources is fairly high. When you own you first have to do a bunch of research to see what type of servers you want to buy and how many you'll need. Then, you purchase that hardware up front. You'll wait for multiple weeks or months for a vendor to deliver those servers to you. You then take them to a data center that you own or rent to install them, rack and stack them, and wire them all up. Then, you make sure that they are secure and powered up, and then they're ready.
Why don't you find the video on YouTube?
Yeah, I think that would make more sense. I don't know why it's taking. Yeah,
Let's
so
grab the
many adverts.
title. Let's grab the title on top and then type it into YouTube.
Yeah, 1 sec. Let me just. I'll maximize the page now.
What I mean
Yeah,
is that grab the video title and put it and share it into YouTube.
I'm not quite sure if this will load on YouTube. Yeah, let's just allow this video. Let's just get back to our presentations. So where were we? We left where we were introducing EC2, Elastic Compute, Elastic Computing Cloud, where this provides, as we said, scalable computing capacity in AWS. And we can use EC2 to launch virtual server machine as we need. So depending on what type of service and what is going to be the storage, type of database, which type of network security we need, we'll now launch these virtual machines. So here we have some steps of how to do that. So once you've subscribed to AWS, you will now be prompted. So let me just show you a page of how it will look like. So at the moment, I didn't sign up, so I'm not able to log in into any account because I can't share my personal stuff with them because this is being recorded. But here's a screenshot of how it will look. So actually, let's just do this. Intro. So first thing first, we need to sign up to AWS. Get started. So there should be a link here. So step one, we go to the free AWS account. How to sign up? Here's the link. It takes you to this page here where you could do create a free account, or maybe from up here, create an AWS account. So for example, if we just click, you now take us here to this page where we need to register. But obviously, I need to verify my account. I don't want to do that. I don't want to share my personal details. Once you've created your account, it is how your dashboard will look like. So it's going to tell you how many hours of compute you have. So it says you have up to 750 hours of compute. Then you have 5 GB storage for S3. So we'll talk about S3. So at the moment we're looking at EC2, where we have these virtual machines. We have 750 hours for using our virtual machines. Then we have 5 GB to store our files or whatever we need. Then we have 752 hours for our database. And we'll look into the type of database that is used in AWS, which is very similar to MongoDB. We have MariaDB. Then we have DynamoDB, which is still for database. Then we have 250 hours for machine learning, and we have AWS Lambda. So from your dashboard, you can now choose what you now need for you to work with your cloud computing. So we looked into EC2, and so here's the example. It says go to EC2 dashboard.
In the EC2 area for 750 hours, they said compute. Is that compute meaning server?
Say that again. What was your question?
The compute, when they said compute, it meant server, correct?
Yes, 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 yes. Virtual
So
machine.
compute,
Sir.
database, storage, this means it's a storage server that's just
Uh,
used for a Google Drive sort of thing. Is that
Yeah,
correct?
yeah, literally, you can upload your files. You can upload any document, PDF document, like whatever you want to upload them as a storage. Yeah. Oh, and
Okay.
it's basically a service. They offer different type of service. Whatever you need to do, you can just do it there, and it's a pay-as-you-go service, which is so what they're trying to do is have everything on one place instead of you having everything all over the places. You
That's
simply,
what confuses me a lot, this pay-as-you-go service.
yeah.
Like, how much do they charge a month and things like that?
Let's just go to the website and find out, because the first year, for the first year is free. So you have 12 months free out of charge, where you can build and use whatever you need to use free out of charge. And once this runs out, pricing, learn about AWS pricing. So you see here, pay as you go. How do we pay? How do you pay for your AWS? So they have different plans, you see? So you now have to choose.
Is there a calculator that calculates the pricing?
It very depends on which service you need. They have different prices for different services. Oh yeah, as you said, there's a calculator. Create a customer. So you have to now put your description, region, where you're going to use the server. You enter all this information and you now prompt and give you the calculation. Or you can simply request a pricing quote. Here they shows you all the features, everything you will get with this plan. Is that making sense?
Makes sense.
Yeah. So let's go back where we were. Okay, so we now spoke about our virtual machine. Then you say click on launch instance, choose Amazon machine image and then instance type. So we're now going to create our instance. Configure instance details such as number of instance, network settings, add storage, configure security group that allows inbound traffic. So we're looking at our secure socket layers. Then auto scaling. So set up an auto scaling group to automate adjust to the number of virtual machine instance based on demand. Create a launch configure with desired distance setting. Then we have load balancing. Use elastic load balancing to distribute incoming traffic across multiple EC2 instances. Create a load balancing and register your EC2 instance with it. And the one that you were talking about before, the storage one, is called S3. So looking back to our image, this one here is S3. See here storage, we have 5 GB in our first 12-month trial. So in these 12 months, we need to figure it out how much storage do we need. And once this is done, after the 12 months, we'll have a clear idea of what we're doing, how much storage we need. So as you can see here, Amazon S3 is an object storage service that provides scalability, data availability, security, and performance. So it is very easy to set up. So we will now create an S3 bucket. I do believe I have the image of S3 bucket. Yeah, so there's the image. So what is S3? This is simple storage service, and it is used for logical unit of storage in AWS. Contains bucket to storage object and its metadata, and it can have 100 buckets per account, and it has unlimited number of objects that can be stored in the bucket. So you now click on create bucket, enter the bucket name, and select the region where we're going to create this. Store and retrieve our data, so we can now upload our object files and PDF document, whatever we need to store into it. Configure lifecycle, S3 lifecycle policies. So obviously they will now come in with configuring the lifecycle policies to automatically transition object to different storage classes. And we'll now have S3 event notification, where we set up event notification to trigger actions. And also we have the database. So let me get images up on. So we were talking about EC2. So when it comes to creating instance, here we have an example of type of services that are provided from AWS. So we have Amazon EC2, Amazon Elastic, Beanstalk, Amazon Lambda, auto scaling, Elastic load balancing. Then when it comes to storage, look at the image. Yeah, so storage, we have different type of storage. So we mentioned we mentioned S3, but we also have Amazon EBS, Amazon EFS, Amazon Glacier, Amazon Snowball.
Are there different aspects to these particular types of servers? Like Amazon SV is standard, but does each other one have like a different quirk to make it different?
Yeah, literally, yeah, basically that's what's happening. So we spoke about S3, which is the most common one, but there are different types of storage. So depending on what you need the storage for, you now choose one of these services. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yeah. So before, when we spoke about EC2, that's not the only type of virtual machine. But what was it? Yeah, before that, this is not the only type of compute service. Does that make sense?
Yeah, EC2 is not the only type of server.
Exactly, yeah. It's the most common, like it's the most popular one, but it's not the only one.
I see.
Okay, so let me get up number 4. So we now spoke about storage, and then we have databases. So we have RDS, Amazon DynamoDB, Amazon Elastic Cache, and Amazon Redshift. So in our presentation, we have Amazon RDS, which was included in the image. So Amazon RDS is used to manage relational databases such as MySQL, PostgreSQL, SQL Server. So what do? We create the RDS instance through the RDS database, configure the instance. Then we're going to enable multiple ATHE deployment for high availability. Set up read replicas to offload read traffic and improve scalability. Then we have Amazon DynamoDB. DynamoDB is a full managed NoSQL database, so it's very similar to MongoDB, where we're going to create our table by a DynamoDB dashboard. Then we have Amazon Aurora, where is a MySQL Postgres compatible relational database engine. So example of scalable web application architecture. So what do we look into this? We have front end where it's going to host Amazon S3 with CloudFront for content delivery. Our backend will now have API service running on EC2 instance behind them and ELB. And as a database, we now have Amazon RDS for relational database, DynamoDB for non-SQL data. And with the storage, we will now use Amazon S3 for static file and backup. So I hope this architecture makes sense to you, where we have front end, back end, database, and storage. So we have a full stack application deployment in it. So front end on S3 and CloudFront. So here we have the steps of what we need to do: create an S3 bucket and upload our static website files. Set up our CloudFront to deliver our website with low latency. Then we have the backend with EC2 with auto scaling and ELB. Then we have our database, which will be now created with RDS, instance for relational data storage. And then we'll now have integrated service where we're going to use AWS SDK to connect our backend service to the S3, RDS, and DynamoDB. Okay, now we look into the secure cloud. We're looking into implement reliable and secure cloud service. So with cloud services, we have become integral to modern computing, offering scalable on-demand access to compute resources. So looking at the key component of reliable cloud service, we're now going to ensure consistent performance, availability, and recovery. So here we have some of the key concepts, such as high availability, scalability, disaster recovery, performance monitoring. Let me get some other more useful images. That one. Okay. We spoke about compute services. We looked into the storage, databases, and then we have networking, where we have Amazon VPC, AWS Direct Connect, Amazon Router 5.3. Then we have management tools as well. So tools that we now use to track logs of users. So we could have Amazon CloudWatch, Amazon Cloud Formation, AWS Cloud Train, AWS Upworks, AWS Trusted Advisor. Security and identity also. We have these used to identify the user who's logging in. So we have Identity Access Management, IAM. Then we have AWS Key Management Services, KMS. Also, we have application services, which are more useful for large corporate, where they're going to use this application to track different type of application and logs. Then we have also the developer tools, which are used for developers, such as code pipeline, code deploy, code build, and code commit. So here we have some challenges when implementing cloud services, such as data breaches, complexity of integration, compliance issues, vendor lock-in. Okay, so as I mentioned, we have networking, networking services. So now let's look at understand and implement cloud securities architectures like VPC, subnets, NECOs, security groups, etc. So we have virtual private cloud, VPC, which is a logical isolated section of AWS cloud where you can launch your AWS resources in a virtual network that we define. So what are the benefits? It's going to provide the control over the virtual network environment, including our IP address range, subnets, router tables, and network gateway. So let's look at this, such as a VPN, the virtual private network, which is entirely hosted on our AWS server. Then we have subnets, where by definition, these are segment of VPC IP addresses range, where you can place group of isolated resources. And what are the benefits of this? This will now help organize and secure resource within our VPC by dividing the VPC IP address into smaller sections. Then we have network access control list, which are stateless, optional layers of security for controlling traffic in and out of more subnets. So this is an extra feature if we want to keep our services secure as possible. So by looking how to implement our cloud security architecture on AWS, here we have the steps that we need to cover. So we now have our AWS account. We will now navigate to VPC, the VPC dashboard. We will now sign in to the management console. Then we're going to create our VPC, ensure that we have the proper name for our VPC, specify our IPv4, and then we're just going to choose the tenancy. Also here we have the steps required to create a subnet. We'll now do the same. Click on create a subnet, select the VPC that we want to create, enter the name, and specify the availability zone, and then enter the IPv4 CIDR block for the subnet. Same procedure when it comes to creating the NACL, and also same procedure when it comes to create a security group. Here we have nicely organized table that shows us the difference between data center, cloud, hybrid cloud solutions. So if you have access to the presentation, you can go through this image and see what are the difference between the three of them. So this it's completely deep. It's a bit out of AWS. We're moving into Terraform. So we're going to understand provision cloud infrastructure service using IaaC tools like Terraform. So what's provisioning cloud infrastructure service using IaaC tools like Terraform? So what does this do? It allows you to provision and manage cloud infrastructure using configuration files. So Terraform, as we mentioned yesterday, is another brand. It's another company like AWS, Microsoft Azure that provides cloud computing. So Terraform is an open source where we can use IaaC tool, where we're going to, which will enable us to define and provision infrastructure within high-level configuration languages. Here we have the example of how to create Redis, and you can have a look at them in more details. And also, we also mentioned that cloud computing is a model where with infrastructure as a service, we have the ability to manage operating systems as well. So when it comes to working with our services, we can now use Linux operating system. So here we're going to be demonstrating Linux administration with a practical example. So here it says that Linux administration system involves managing and maintaining Linux system, including tasks like user management, file permission, software installation, system monitoring, and so on. So we've been given a scenario where we're setting up and securing a web server on the Linux system. And here's the steps that we use when working with Linux administrator. So this was everything for today's session. Do you have any questions?
It's a lot to take in and try and understand. But the entire lesson was just trying to explain all the features that AWS has.
Yes.
Okay.
So your main goal will be to sign up to AWS, look at the type of services that they provide. So we know that EC2 and S3 are the most common. And just simply by you creating a simple instance or by you uploading a file, a PDF file or whatever onto EC3 could be two perfect example of using these services.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, I suppose that makes sense. I will look into this a bit more by myself, but
Yeah.
this
I
will
don't know.
also be something that has to be in section A in terms of writing.
So what do you mean by section A?
In the assignment where you have to create a report.
Let me get the assignment. Describe benefit, explain benefit, challenges of cloud service. Discuss different cloud deployment, explain each service using. Section B, provision iCloud server. What was your question again?
All of this in this lecture will I have to put it into a report about the Amazon?
See here, can you see my screen?
Yes.
Here is talking about explain each service and its usage used in AWS cloud, such as VPC, EC2 instances, and router 5.3, etc. like S3. Yeah, so he said explain each services and its usage.
All right then.
Hmm?
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, the assignment is just asking you to explain them.
Right.
Because obviously signing up for AWS, you now start that subscription for you. So I don't think it's so ideal for you because you might forget to cancel the subscription. I don't know, because if you enter your card details, that will not be nice because they'll charge you money after a year. So I think it'll be good enough for you to just explain each service and the usage.
Yeah. One more question.
Yeah.
All of this is like a Amazon cloud practitioner. Am I correct?
Say
About
that
some. This is like a cloud practitioner. Am I right? Like a cloud developer.
Oh, cloud developer.
Yeah, or it's a practitioner. I don't know which one it's called.
I never heard of practitioner. What do you mean by so like someone that works with AWS? Is that what
Yes. Yes, like those type of people.
No, but I'm pretty sure like many companies just uses AWS. Even self-employed developers, for instance, they use that. It's very common. Like it saves you, as we see from the presentation, it saves you on money, time, and a lot of things. So there's a lot of benefit of using it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, but obviously there are jobs like cloud engineers and DevOps engineers. But yeah, I feel like every developers nowadays use AWS.
Okay.
Hmm?
Yeah.
So yeah, so if there's no other questions, I'll see you next week.
There's no other question, no.
Okay,
Thank
thank you so much. I'll see you next Monday and have a good week.
Okay, fine.
Okay, bye.